We all have complained about our jobs and how stressful they are at least once every week. It may be true, but after today's video, you will believe that your job is not as hard as you think it is. In today's video, we are going to take a look at a normal day in the life of a factory worker working in the Industrial Revolution. Throughout the video, try to compare your regular job day with the one you're going to be seeing, and comment about some of the shocking differences you noticed. After industrialization and globalization came into play in every nation, the number of factories and industries increased exponentially. And as a result, the requirement for a huge number of workers was created, which led to the intake of thousands of people as workers in the factories. But as there was a huge demand for jobs, people settled for any type of work they got at the factories, irrespective of the pay wages. And similarly, as there were a huge demand for jobs, factory owners did not have to pay much attention to the work environment and other requirements of the workers. This led to a huge number of problems for the workers each working day. Working hours. The day of a factory worker started by going to the factory to work in the early hours. There were all kinds of workers, young and old, of different genders. They all had to work for long periods, approximately around 14 to 16 hours a day, 6 days a week, which is equal to an average of 100 hours a week. To just put it into contrast with the present world, in 2022, the average software engineer works around 40 hours a week. Working conditions. Workers would have to work in harsh conditions, sometimes filled with fumes of different kinds. Various machines which would have been considered extremely dangerous in today's world were supposed to be used by both men and children without any continuous supervision. The conditions were so extreme that at the end of the day, workers used to come out of the factory covered with filth and other harmful substances if they were lucky enough to come outside of the factory without losing their lives in the factory itself. Wages. Irrespective of the working conditions and environment, wages were very meager. As mentioned before, factories didn't have to spend much effort on maintaining proper facilities for the workers as there was an incredibly high demand for jobs in the factory. So factories were able to make people work for them for a very minimal amount. It was terrible for the workers but profitable for the industries. In addition to this, due to gender discrimination that used to exist back then, even though women worked for the same amount of hours as the men, sometimes even more, they used to receive only 1/3 of the pay that men used to get. They also used to be treated inappropriately by their higher officials, as proper worker laws also didn't exist back then. Breaks and benefits. Throughout the day, workers used to get a total of only 2 breaks, that too for a limited amount of time. Workers had to utilize these 2 breaks to relax and to have their lunch or dinner. And delay in coming back to the factory or continuing their work resulted in huge cuts in pay and several other penalties as well. So there's no such things as sick leaves or vacations for any of the workers. No matter the condition of their family and health, they had to come and work. Failure to do so resulted in serious consequences. In certain factories like ammunition manufacturing, mining, or purification, etc., workers were treated even harsher, sometimes even verbally and physically abused. After a long day, some of the workers who were in serious financial troubles went to a different workplace for their night shift, and others went back to their homes to rest for the 3 or 4 hours they had left in the day. The situation of children. Kids were also treated equally with the men and was expected to work for the same amount of time without pity of any sort. They were never shown mercy considering they were just kids and used to be sent to all sorts of work environments. The kids would always be so caught up with their work in the factory that they could not even attend school. Some kids would be so overstrained and tired that they would not even be able to make it back home and used to faint on the road. Overall, it was a horrendous time to be alive and working. Workers were treated like slaves, even in the factories, and had no sort of rights or higher authorities they could approach to discuss their problems for solutions. Our jobs don't seem so bad after all, huh? Comment your views below and let us know.